As we finish these masks for people, I just want to tell you that I found out something today, and I just want to let you know I'm still going to leave the tutorial together as far as putting in the pocket for a filter. Found out today that 3M, the people that have made the HEPA filters, say please do not use those for the mask or the vacuum cleaner bags. Said they have chemicals in it that is not meant for people to breathe in. So please do not use those. If you can think of anything else that would be chemical free, the only thing I can think of right offhand is possibly interfacing that you use for making garments. I don't think those would have any chemicals in it, but I would check just to make sure. So I'm going to leave the pocket design in there, so you can put a filter if you can find one that is suitable. But please do not use the HEPA filters because they do have chemicals in it. God bless you, and make as many of these masks as you can because the need is great. Love everyone. Good evening, everybody. This is going to be my first attempt on making a mask for work. With the coronavirus, there's a big need for different kinds of masks. I'm going to demo two different kinds, but the first one I'm starting with is actually one that I got off of the internet. I want to give the lady credit for making the templates. If you go to DIY Fabric Face Mask by Mimi G Style, she's the one that has the template. If you can tell what she looks like, I know it's very hard when I made her stop talking. But anyway, that's where I got the template, and this is the template that she had. I did do a few adaptations to it. This one ends up pretty small. It's for a petite lady. So what I did was I cut them both out and made them both a little bit longer, which makes it more or less for a medium-sized person. And then I've got another one here that I've even made it a little bit bigger. It would be for a larger guy, probably. Not a large guy, but a guy. Anyway, their faces are a little bit longer sometimes. So I've got all three of those, and we're going to try and get it into a PDF so that you can print it off. If not, you can print hers off and adapt it to whatever size you need. There are just a few things that we need. You need a lining fabric, and you need a top fabric, the one that you'll actually see. And this is for my daughter, she's an owl lover. And then instead of the batting, like I told my sewing group last night, it's actually going to be t-shirt material. And the t-shirts that I'm using are actually old t-shirts that I one day am going to make a t-shirt quilt out of, and I just cut the back out. So I'm going to use part of the back as part of the inside, like a filter like, but I'm going to make a pocket so you can put a HEPA filter in it. But I'll explain all of that when I get to it. And so just go to your stash of t-shirts like I've got here, and since I'm going to use the front of it for a different type of quilt, all I need is the back. So I'll be right back. Hi there. Just wanted to show you how I laid out the what is this, a pattern? Forgot what it is. It's the end of the day. You don't have to do it this way. I did. If you're not proficient at cutting, don't do it this way. But I put my inner lining for my pocket and my outer lining for the inside of the mask. And I pinned them all together because it's the very same piece of the template. And then over here I have the top part with the pretty design that we're going to have on the outside. So I just wanted to show you what we're doing. I do want to tell you, I want you to use scissors to cut it. I don't want you to use a rotary cutter because it's rounded edges and it would just be harder, too much of a possible incidence of an accident. So just use scissors. Most people are comfortable using scissors. So we're going to cut this out and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back at the, I started to say studio, but I mean my sewing machine. I don't have a studio. So anyway, so here's our template pieces all cut out. This is the medium. This one's for the outside. Got my little owl here. So you have two pieces, exactly the same. Same thing on the lining. I just cut them out together. So this is the t-shirt material, this is the regular cotton material. So the first thing we do in all three sets is we put them pretty side down and then pretty side on top. So it's actually the wrong side looking up. And we're going to sew this curved corner side over here on all three pieces. I'll show you one and then I'll just jump ahead and do the other two. I start at the bottom because it's a flat side. It's harder to start here with this triangle because sometimes your machine will eat it. We don't want that to happen. So I just get it straight. 1/4 inch seam. I've got white thread in here. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to be hidden at this point. And I do back tack on both ends. Except I don't have my machine set right.
We want one over here for you.
There we go. Okay, just like that. We do it to all three pieces. We trim our curves. I'll show you that. Well, I'll go ahead and show you that. I always do it this way. Make sure you do not cut past that seam and just cut you a little V out of it. So you do that about 3 times and it'll lay flat for you. And I'll go ahead and finish these other two and we'll be right back. Okay, when I started doing the t-shirt material, I remembered why I don't like doing t-shirt material, and that is because it stretches. But there is a way to do it. So if you'll look right here, I think I've taught everybody before to use what they call lenders and enders. All it is a piece of fabric that kind of you just sew on, and then the next piece of fabric that you put right next to it should just glide right into it. So that's what I did. So I sewed this little gray and white piece together here, and I butted this, my blue fabric, which is my t-shirt fabric, right up to it, and I just kept going. I didn't stop. So once I got past the beginning, it's okay. Don't pull on it, but just let it glide through your fingers. See, I'm not holding it, I'm just letting it glide so that I can keep it going in the right place. And then when I get close to the back, I'm going to back tack a little bit, but not right at the end, and then just sew off the end. So it looks like it puckered a little bit, but that's okay. It'll fit right in. As soon as we iron it, it'll lay right down, okay? Since these are rounded, sometimes it is a little harder to press, so I just wanted to show you what I do. like I said, I trimmed the little notches out. And I've already pressed one, and I just pressed it to one side. So when you take your outer fabric, press it to the opposite side. So what I'm gonna do is finger press it first and then just use the iron. And everybody knows what finger press is. Basically is you run your finger down the seam, and it should hold it down. And that's pretty good, but the iron just gives it a little more crisp. So it kind of looks like a bra cup in a way. So I just do it from the outside with the seam going the opposite direction of what I did the last one. So all I do is just I press in as far as I can naturally and stop, and then I take the other side and do the same thing. Well, if I can keep up with it, it's trying to run away. And do the same thing. Then you've got a nice crisp seam. So you just do it to all three of them. And then I'll show you how to start putting it together. Okay, now we've got our three pieces sewn together down the center seam, and we're going to start putting it together. The first thing I want you to do though is take your inside lining, the pretty inside, and I want you to take it. You see how it's cupped with the inside here? And as you can tell, one side is longer than the other one. I want you to take one side, it really doesn't matter which side, but take one side and turn in about 1.25 inches and finger press it. Then we're going to take it to the machine and we're just going to stitch just to hold this down. And I'm doing it on the end just so I don't have any flopping around. Back tack on both ends again. And the reason we're doing that is we're going to make a pocket so that an extra filter can go in if they want it to. But I'll explain that towards the end. So there we are. We got this all sewn together. Okay? So I'm just going to lay that one to the side for a moment. I'm going to take the pretty outside piece. We've got it pressed. And I'm going to take the lining, the t-shirt material, and I'm going to put them together. I actually do use pins. You can use pins or you can use clips. Doesn't matter, whichever you prefer, but I have to have something to kind of hold it together and make my mind go straight. So I'm going to put 3 pins in it first. And I'm just making sure my sides line up together. So there, I've got 3 pins right there at the top, 1 in the middle and there's 2 on the sides. So this is just for my own benefit here. I turn it upside down and I try to get these two to fit. Gonna put another pin here, about halfway. Do the same thing over here. Make sure my sides are lined up right. Okay, and then I'm going to put another pin. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Everything's lined up pretty good. Don't worry about the bottom if it doesn't meet, that's fine. So, going back to that inner lining, the one that we sewed the little casing on the side, I'm going to put the pretty side of that lining to the pretty side of our outside. Do the same thing, line them up. And I'm going to use the very same pins I'm just going to take them out, line it up, and pin it right back in. So now I've got all three pieces done. Take it out, line it up, pin it. Do that all the way to the end. Go to the other side, take the pin out, line it up, pin. Okay, as you can see, they're not the same length, but that's okay. That's what I wanted because I wanted to make this to be a pocket, and I'll explain when we get there. So, now, I want to kind of line up the bottom and pin. I was about to say I lost part of it, but it's on the inside. Okay. Same thing. Start at the middle. Get all three of your pieces. Line them up. Pin it down. Get one side done, just move over to the other side and pin it. If you're like me, you might have quite a few pins, but that's okay. Just make sure they line up at the bottom, all three pieces. Okay, now we're going to sew all these pieces together, but we're going to sew it together a certain way. You can take the bottom is more of a straight line. Start here, do your 1/4 inch in, and just sew all the way down that side, all the way to the end of this. Back tack on both sides. Make sure you take your pins out. Do not run over them with your sewing machine. If you do, you may pop a needle and it can sling anywhere. Take your 1/4 inch. See, I'm stopping before I got to the pin. Take your pin out. Reposition your hands and keep going. Now when you get to a seam that you don't want those things to move, make sure you hold it down when you take your pin out. And I've got my finger on the outside of the foot, so that way I'm not going to hit my finger at all. And just hold it until you get through that seam. You can take your pins out ahead of time as long as you hold everything together and don't let it move. Okay, we're getting to the end where our folded edge is. Just make sure you go all the way through and back tack. In case you don't know what I mean when I say back tack, hit your reverse on your machine for about 2 or 3 stitches.
Till you be back.
Okay, I'll be right back and show you the top. Okay, now we're going to do the top part of the mask, and we're starting on the end where the folded edge is, only because it's easier for me to do with on the left side of the machine or the foot. So I took that needle, that pin out. I'm setting it down right here on the edge of where we folded. We drop my needle, and we're going to go 3 stitches, hit my backspace, go 3 stitches, let it go, and it will come back to the frontward momentum, and just do the same thing. This one is not a straight straight angle. It has got a curve to it again, so just go slow and steady. Kind of follow your 1/4 inch seam. Don't get it too narrow. I am going to do something a little different when we get to the top, and I'll tell you. So I'm getting probably 1 inch from the top. I'm not going to go straight to the top. I'm going to start angling it just a little bit to kind of make a semicircle. And the reason I'm doing that is the way this pattern was written or drawn out, it comes to a point, and it kind of messes you up right in here, especially if you're wearing glasses. So this way it kind of curves it just a little bit. So again, 1/4 inch seam, keep going around, and you go all the way to the end. Make sure you don't lose anything, because my bottom tried to slip out from under it. I'm at the end, so I'm going to back tack. And mine has a scissor, so it cuts my thread for me. Okay. I don't know if you can see it real good or not, but everything here came to a point and then down. But what I did was we did kind of a rounded, and I'm going to trim that off. Not too close, still about a 1/4 inch away. But it just kind of rounded it off a little bit. Okay, here's kind of the moment of truth. We're going to turn it around now. So I want you to go between, well, let's use this side so I can explain it. This is the side that we folded down, and this is going to be the top side. So let's just take the whole thing, and we're going to turn it right side out. Okay. If you need something to get the points out, you know, you can have these little point turners, or you can use a pencil or a pair of scissors, something blunt nose that's not too pointy, so you don't want to push it through the fabric. So right now, I will press this, but for right now, this is basically what it's going to look like. And the whole reason for this whole puffy thing right here, which looks like a bra to me, is it goes right here. So I've got one thing we're going to put up here. That's going to be a pipe cleaner. I'm going to show you how to put that casing in. And then we're going to stitch all around it, and then we'll put the elastic in, and we will be done. So I'm going to go to press this. Be back with you shortly. I know it's kind of weird for me to show everybody how to press things, but I just wanted to show you that on this one, because of the way that we're going to make the casing for the elastic, I just wanted to show you how to press it real fast. So all I'm doing is, you know, bringing these two out as far as you can. And then there should be like a 1/4 inch here that goes all the way out to the edge with the outer fabric and the t-shirt lining. See, I've got a little bit more here than I do here. And it's going to be a little bit different on this side. But basically, just make a good flat press all the way around. And make sure you press these sides down at least that 1/4 inch. And I'll be finished in just a second and we'll get started on the nose piece. Alrighty, now we are ready to do the nose piece for the wire. What I'm using is a pipe cleaner. Don't really know how long this is. Let's see. 12 inches. So what I usually do is a double width. So I kind of figure out what 3 times the length is. And then I cut one of them off. I save that for the next one. And now I've got like 2 lengths. I just fold it all the way down at the end. But if you mess with this top up here, you can feel the wires. So what I do is I fold them down on themselves and then I tape them in place. So I just take, this is blue painter's tape. So I just take a little length like this. And sorry, got an itchy nose. I take this and I cut slanted halfway down and then I cut off the ends. So I come out with a little triangle like that. And I have it like that on both sides. This is just my own little way of doing it. You can do whatever you think you need to keep it from sticking somebody. We don't want it sticking them in the nose or the eye or whatever. So I take my little funny looking piece of tape. I take it to the end where the 2 ends are. I put it down, wrap it around, wrap the other side around, and then that funny looking little piece where we cut that out, I fold that down, and then I've got the other 2 little pieces to fold around it. So it gives it a nice little pocket.
It's a fingertip paint.
Oh, my husband must have had to use these before. He goes, that's a fingertip Band-Aid. So, now that I've got that, I'm going to kind of bend it in the middle so I know where my middle is. And I'm going to put it on here. The bend right where the seams are. Then I pull this out and I put a pin at the end of that wire. This is just to help me know how big I need to make this casing. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to take this now to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew from the top edge about 3/4 of an inch. Stop. Well, I'm going to make sure you back tack at the beginning. Stop and pivot, and then I'm going to sew up toward the V. Make sure you're leaving yourself plenty of room for the casing, still about 3/4 of an inch from the top. When you get to the middle where the seam is, stop, pivot it around. You're going to sew down and you're going to back tack. You're not going to close it yet when you get to the pin. Then we'll feed in the pipe cleaner. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm close to the pin. I'm going to drop my needle. I'm going to pivot this around and take that pin out because I do not want to run over it. Pull this all out straight so you don't have any pleats anywhere. And I'm still kind of crooked, remember. but I'm going down about 3/4 of an inch, but I'm gonna back tack. I'm gonna pivot. Now I'm at the middle where the seam is. I'm gonna pivot again. Make sure I pull everything out nice and straight so I don't have any pleats or anything. About 3/4 of an inch from the top. And I'm gonna sew to right to that pin. Take the pin out, back tack, cut my thread. I don't like threads hanging, that's why you probably see me cutting threads a lot. Okay, so we're gonna take our little pipe cleaner, we're gonna take it and put it on the inside. It's hard to do things when you can't see it. Make sure you go on the correct side, because I was on the outside of it, and I'm just pushing that pipe cleaner through. I probably should have used the other side because it'd be a little thicker, but it's working. And I'm going to go all the way down to the end of that casing. You can kind of tell where the end of the pipe cleaner is right there. There's a little hump and the threads are right there. So pull that tight. Make sure it's in there. And it is. So now I'm going to go back and put my needle back down at the end of where I back tacked. And I'm going to sew all the way to the end again and then back tack again. So the nose piece is secure in there now. Well, kind of knotted up there, but I can trim that off. See, watch. It doesn't open back up until I open it. And I could do it anywhere on that. So hopefully that'll give them a little bit of control of getting keeping germs out away from the face. Okay, so the hard part is done. All we got to do now is get our casing ready for the elastic and do our top stitch. We'll be right back. I'm over at the ironing board again, just so I can show you how we need to do this to fold it to get the casing for the elastic, and also have the opening for our HEPA filter. So here it is, like we had done it before, so it's already pressed that way. As you can tell, I've got 3 different fabrics here. So the first one is the outside fabric. I'm gonna fold it up to the second fabric, which is the t-shirt fabric. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to fold it that far. Let me think. Hold on. Yep, actually I am. I'm going to fold it up to the t-shirt fabric. Go ahead and press that. It's a little hot. And then I'm going to fold just to where the next fabric starts. Okay? Press that one down. And then I'm going to pin it. Ooh, it's really hot now. We'll come back and pin it. It's too hot to touch. Okay, the other side is going to be a little bit easier. We're still going to fold it to the fabric and then fold it again. So that what it's doing is making a casing for the elastic to go through. Because we're not doing the elastic to go behind the ears. We're going to do it to go over your head, actually. Okay, this is cool enough now. So I'm going to pin. And then go back over here where it's cooled off a little bit and pin. I actually think I'm going to use my clips, but since I got my pins here. Okay, we're going to go sew that down, put the elastic in, and we'll be done. Okay, here we are. We're going to do the last bit. So, taking it to the machine, one of these I had folded over. We are going to sew right on the edge, as close to the edge as you can get it without going over. Again, we back tack. And like I said, sew right on the edge of the folded fabric, as close to the edge as you can get. Back tack. Stop with your needle down, right on the edge, no more than 1/8 of an inch away. Again, we're going to sew right on the edge, and we're going to do this all the way around. Just when you get to your casing where the nose piece is, make sure that that is out of the way. Okay. Because if you hit that wire that's inside that pipe cleaner, you might just pop a needle. I haven't done it yet, but I don't want to do it yet. And I've got a magnet in my watch and it keeps grabbing those ties. Again, I'm right on the edge. It's kind of where the seam is. When you get to the top, pivot if you need to. Again, watch, make sure that wire is out of the way because you've got it going down both sides. Okay, as you notice, we're getting to the end, but remember we've got a pocket here. We want to make sure this pocket stays open. So when you're sewing down on the outer fabric that's been folded over, make sure you do not sew down that pocket. Even move it out of the way if you need to. And I probably will myself. I'm going to back tack right there too. Make sure I get on the, well, I want you to go backwards one. Thank you. I just want to make sure those areas are secure. But again, do not sew on the pocket, top of the pocket. So I'm going to move mine out of the way. So right on the edge of that fold. Back tack. It's okay if you run over on that pocket right there on the end. I'm going to straighten that back out because I've still got the bottom to sew down. And this is the one that's the straight line pretty much. So you can go a little faster if you need to. When you get to the end, make sure you back tack. Do not go all the way off the end. If you do, you're going to have to take some out. because we need those casings open so that we can run elastic through it. See, you need it open on all 4 sides. Okay, so that is complete. We just have to put the elastic in. The elastic is 22 inches long. I'm going to put a safety pin in and run it through, and let me show you how we're going to run it through those casings. Doesn't matter where you start. Oops. Just push your pin through. Sometimes it's hard to get it started. So all you do is you push your pin a little bit. You see where it's wrinkled? Hold it with this thumb, pull it with that one. Sometimes it's hard to get it to come out the end. Especially when I'm as blind as bat. There we go. Okay, so don't pull it all the way through, but pull it a good bit. It did pull out a piece of that fabric, but it'll work its way back in. Don't twist it, just bring it around, and you're gonna go back down the other side. It's gonna seem like it's not long enough, but it will be. Okay, come on, there we go. Getting it started and getting it out sometimes is hard. Okay, so we've got the fabric or the elastic pulled through on both sides. Now you're going to take both ends and you want to put them together about an inch. I usually pin mine because elastic is stretchy and doesn't like always to do what you want it to. So, got a pin like that. I'm going to put it under the machine and then I'll take the pin out. Or under the needle, not under the machine. I'm going to change my... Okay, we've got to pause just a second. I'll be right back so I can set up my machine. All right, my machine, you need it to be on a zigzag stitch if you have one. If not, your straight stitch will work. Just do it a few more times. But zigzag is easier, so I'm going to set mine up. And so I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go down into both layers of fabric, elastic. I'm going to take my pin out. And then I'm holding it back here, but I'm not stretching it. I'm just holding it. And I've got a zigzag stitch. I'm going to go real slow. Okay, I've gone the whole distance that it's doubled. I'm going to go backwards the same distance. And then I'm going to come back one more time. Lift my needle, cut my thread. And you have just made your first mask. Trim my threads. I like to hide this inside the seam, and all you gotta do is pull it. Oh, I pulled it too far. There there you go.
Say we can April.
I'm gonna get April, since this one is hers, and let her demonstrate it for you. Just
Director.
writing my script.
Action!
Okay, we finished the mask. I made this one for April because she's an owl lover. So we're gonna give it to her and see how it actually fits now.
I can't even put it on now.
Very good.
It's comfy.
As we finish these masks for people, I just want to tell you that I found out something today, and I just want to let you know I'm still going to leave the tutorial together as far as putting in the pocket for a filter. Found out today that 3M, the people that have made the HEPA filters, say please do not use those for the mask or the vacuum cleaner bags. Said they have chemicals in it that is not meant for people to breathe in. So please do not use those. If you can think of anything else that would be chemical free, the only thing I can think of right offhand is possibly interfacing that you use for making garments. I don't think those would have any chemicals in it, but I would check just to make sure. So I'm going to leave the pocket design in there, so you can put a filter if you can find one that is suitable. But please do not use the HEPA filters because they do have chemicals in it. God bless you, and make as many of these masks as you can because the need is great. Love everyone.